Good morning. Well, it's great to be with you again on another Monday morning. And yes, we see that weeks fly by so quickly. Now, this week, we're going to stick to one scripture, and that scripture is found in Romans chapter 8, verse 28. All things work together for good. Now, yeah, we're going to look at that and we're going to try and unpack it. Again, just thinking about those words, all things work together for good. Bad or good, it always works out at the end of the day. Now, you might say, really? You mean all things happen are for my good, even when things go bad in my life? Well, I hear what you're saying. I struggle even with this myself. You know, it's one of those difficult scriptures that Paul wrote that one finds difficult to work out at the end of the day of what Paul was really talking about. Now, but if we continue to read that scripture, and this is the amazing thing, that if you continue to read into that scripture and not just stop at that first part of the scripture, it says, of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. Now, again, we need to find our purpose in God. God has given us a purpose in life. Now, during life, this is what I'm going to say to you. Things happen. There will be things happening in your life, good or bad. Now, again, we have to turn to God to find our strength, to find an understanding of what these things are doing in my life, because sometimes the enemy comes in for one purpose, and that is to rob from us. And again, we need to come back and we need to ask God, how do I turn this for the better at the end of the day? Now, I personally believe that Paul's motivated himself by reminding himself that God is always on his side, regardless of where he would find himself. Now again, you have to look at the life of Paul. You have to look at the life of what he went through and the struggles that he faced. Now, let me tell you, Paul's life was a constant uphill battle. But even during these battles that he faced, he said all things work together for good. Now, again, he was putting his faith and his trust in God. Most of the New Testament was written by Paul. And it was written, most of them were written from a prison cell. Now, he looked at his own life. When he looked at his own life, you would notice that he went through many trials and tribulations in his own life. He was shipwrecked. This is what he says. He says, I was shipwrecked, I was beaten, I was hungry, I had to fend for myself around wild animals, I was hunted down like a criminal, I was thrown into a dark cell, I was even stoned to the point of death. This is what he says. These are the statements that he makes. He says, but regardless of all that which I went through, I put my faith and my trust in God, because I know in God all things work for good. Again, we have to come back and we have to look at his life and understand and come to an understanding of what he was going through when he wrote the scripture. Often we might have gone through similar situations. We go through hurtful situations, but again, we have to put our trust in God. You see, while waiting for his trial, this is Paul, while waiting for his trial, which meant certain death at the end of the day. And by the way, Paul was executed. In actual fact, they say that he lost his head. Yeah, they executed him by chopping off his head. Now, he again reflects his life back to that what he has come through, and again, constantly reminding us that we have to put our faith and our trust in God, because all things work together for good for those who love God. Now, again, what am I trying to say? I'm saying possibly you're going through difficult things in your life. Possibly you're going to face difficult situations in the coming days that lie ahead. Remind yourself this, that all things do work together for the good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. Now, come on. Find the purpose in God, and you will be able to work through those obstacles in your life.